The wind blew hot across the streets of Dalton Ridge, carrying with it the sharp sting of dry dirt and livestock. The market was already alive with chatter, with curses thrown over the price of beans, and the sound of horses clattering past, and, in the middle of it all, dragging a half-broken cart with a single rusted wheel, walked two boys. Eli, 13, thin, sharp, older than his years. Jonah, 11, smaller, quieter, always looking at his brother before he acted. Their boots were too big, second-hand, and their shirts threadbare. But they walked with purpose. The cart was filled with vegetables. They'd pulled from a dying garden, bruised potatoes, bent carrots, and onions that still had dirt on them. They weren't merchants, just survivors. Behind the meat stall, a man laughed. "Here come the widow's rats," he barked. "What are you peddling today? Dirt soup?" More laughter followed. Eli didn't look up. He kept pulling. Jonah's lip trembled, but he pressed his hands around the basket tighter. The boys had no father. Sam Alder had died in the cattle wars, a bullet through the gut during a land raid. Their mother, Mary, had been a schoolteacher. Now she boiled water for supper and prayed the wind didn't tear the roof off. 5 miles from town, alone, Eli bartered with the baker for a half loaf. "Please," he said, "I'll carry grain sacks next week." The baker squinted, then nodded once. The boys moved on. In the shadows near the blacksmith's tent, a tall figure stood, wrapped in a gray coat, a hat low over his eyes. His face was scarred, his left hand bandaged. He said nothing, just watched. That night the boys walked home, carrying bread and a few small coins. The sun dipped behind the canyon, turning the sky orange. At the cabin, Mary waited by the fire. "You ate?" she asked. Jonah nodded. Eli handed her the bread. "You eat now." She looked at them and smiled. "You're your father's sons." Outside, coyotes howled. Inside, the fire crackled. They didn't speak of the men who laughed, or the stranger who watched, but they all felt something shift. 2 days passed. On the third, Eli found the scarred man waiting behind the stables. "You're Sam Alder's boy," he said without preamble. Eli stiffened. "How do you know that?" The man unwrapped his hand. A deep burn stretched across his palm and fingers. "Your father saved me once, during the Red Bluff crossing. Gave up his coat, his horse, his last water. Said he had 2 sons waiting back home." Eli blinked. He wanted to believe it, but didn't trust easily. "Why now?" The man didn't smile. "Because I heard the market laugh, and no one stood with you. His name was Hawk. Or so he said. Some in town whispered he'd been a tracker, a bounty man. Others claimed he'd killed 12 men in a single night." Eli didn't know what to believe, but he listened. Over the next week, Hawk showed them how to split logs without cracking the grain. How to boil water so it didn't kill you. How to watch the wind before it changed. Mary noticed. She watched through the window as the boys trained in the clearing. Hawk's movements were quiet, sharp. He never entered the house, never asked questions. "He's dangerous," Mary told Eli one night. "He's kind," Eli replied. "In his own way." Hawk said little, but he taught with his hands, and when Jonah bruised his arm, Hawk bound it with careful precision. "Pain teaches," he murmured. Then one day the market turned mean. The boys were cornered by older teens. The butcher's son shoved Jonah down, kicked over their cart. Vegetables scattered into the dirt. "Go home, beggars." Eli stepped forward, fists clenched. Then came the growl. "Hawk." He stepped from behind a wagon, silent as death. His eyes were ice. The teens scattered. Later, he handed Eli a dull knife. "You don't need to fight to be strong, but you do need to be ready." That night, Mary invited Hawk to the porch. "I don't know who you are," she said, "but you've given my boys something their father would have wanted them to have." Hawk didn't answer. He just nodded once. The stars burned bright that night. The storm rolled in without warning. Dark clouds gathered over Dalton Ridge. Thunder cracked like gunfire. Hawk had gone into town. The boys stayed behind to fix the fence. Mary cooked stew. With the last of the onions, the air smelled like ash and rain. Then, hooves. 5 riders. Hard, fast. Men from Hawk's past. One had a long scar across his chin. Another carried a sawed-off rifle. They dismounted like wolves. "You seen a man named Hawk?" One spat. Mary stood in the doorway. "No one by that name here." They didn't believe her. They stormed the house. Jonah hid beneath the floorboards. Eli grabbed the iron poker. Then, the whistle. A sharp, piercing call from the trees. Hawk, he, emerged like a ghost, rain slicking his coat. A rifle in his hands. "This is between me and you," he called out. The man with the scar laughed. "Then come take your due." A gunfight erupted. Eli shoved Jonah deeper under the boards. Mary fired once from the window, hitting a man in the leg. Hawk took 2 shots to the arm but kept coming. One by one, he dropped them. Precise. Merciless. The last man kicked open the door and grabbed Mary. Eli screamed. Threw the poker. Then, Jonah, trembling, emerged from hiding, clutching the dull knife Hawk had given them. He didn't stab. Just stood firm. "Let her go." The man hesitated. Then Hawk appeared behind him, bloodied, but upright. "It ends now." The man turned. A single shot rang. Silence. Rain poured through the broken windows. By morning the bodies were gone, buried near the tree line. Hawk lay on the cabin floor, pale but breathing. "You're your father's sons," he rasped. "And now, you're mine too." Mary wept. Quietly. Gratefully. He stayed for 3 more weeks. Repaired the porch. Taught the boys to fish. Then one morning, he was gone. Just a note. The world's heavy, but you carry it well. H. Eli stood at the ridge that night watching the horizon. Jonah stood beside him. "Will he come back?" Eli shook his head. "I think he already gave us what we needed." Mary lit the fire. Bread rose in the oven, and for the first time in a long time, they weren't waiting for someone to save them. They had saved themselves. Sometimes, the smallest shoulders carry the heaviest loads, but with love, courage, and a little help from those who see you, even a broken cart can carry a family forward. If this story moved you, hit like, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more true-hearted stories from the edge of survival.